Hey guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to wherever you are around the world. I hope everyone's having a good day, and it is 5 years of World of Warships. I can't believe it, but it has been 5 years of World of Warships. In fact, at the time of the recording of this video, it is exactly 5 years, but by the time you're watching this, it'll be in around a week later. So I kind of want to just go through the nostalgia and the changes I remember. Yeah, sure, I have a lot of gaps in my memory because as a variety gamer, I go on and off from World of Warships quite regularly. And I remember I was probably away for a year at one point, so that just tells you that I can be away for quite a while. Despite being what I believe to be day one, I don't remember. I think I would. If I wasn't, I was definitely a week one player. Definitely. So, when I asked myself the question, what do I remember from old World of Warships? And the first thing I remember is stealth firing. The fact that you could snipe somebody from across the map without being detected. Obviously, that's not a thing anymore. But for those people that didn't know, or don't know, if you weren't in detection range, you could just stealth fire even in open water, and it was extremely annoying. But now obviously that's changed because you have the, if you fire, your concealment or your detection, whichever you want to refer it to, goes to your maximum firing range of your main battery guns. So that's kind of better, so you get spotted, unless you don't have a line of sight, so you've got an island between you, all that kind of stuff. So that was a thing. Can you imagine that with Smolensk? That would be absolutely devastating. Everybody else is spotted. Smolensk isn't. Hiding behind an island, even in open water, whatever. Spamming you. Oh. Another thing that I remember is definitely the old CVs. I'm not saying the old CVs were better or worse. I would say they're in the middle. I like the rework-ish, apart from how powerful that they are. But I also kind of missed the old CVs. It was all top-down RTS style, and it was good because, you know, if you had a really skilled CV player back then, you know, you really did have one. And it was more of CVs going after the enemy CV and that kind of warfare, rather than CV going after, well, everybody. It wasn't that kind of thing. And, you know, because they would go after CVs and battleships. They wouldn't bother with DDs or anything like that. They would just do their own thing. But now they go after everybody. And now, well, everybody's pretty much on the same skill level, instead of having really skilled CV players and not so skilled. You used to have CVs on every single tier. So I remember having the US Navy's Bogue. I think that was tier 5 at the time, but they removed it. So obviously now in the tech tree, it's one. It skips a tier essentially. So you have one on tier 4. That's tier 6. That's tier 8, and that's tier 10. That does remind me about tech trees actually, because when World of Warships started, it was 2 nations. It was Japanese and it was American. Then they added everybody else starting later. And talking of tech trees, now we're all used to custom of having these tech tree splits. You know, the Japanese have the DD splits, the Americans have the cruiser splits, and all that kind of stuff. But it just used to be just one tech tree for each class of ship for each nation, and that was over just 3 nations. Because now, including premium ships, I reckon it's around over 400 ships in total. It's probably even less than half of that, not even 100 ships at launch, I think. So you've got to actually think how much variety everybody has now. You've got your coal ships, your steel ships. They didn't all used to be a thing, because the armory didn't always used to be a thing. It's quite recent, its armory actually. If you look at it in the overall scheme of things of over 5 years. So you've got coal, steel, you've got free XP ships, you've got tech tree ships, and you've got premium ships that you pay for. It's a lot. It's a lot more than it used to. And if you look at all the content that they've been out churning of wargaming over the last few years, it's a lot. I've got to give it to them. It is a lot. Now another change, which I don't remember specifically the patch, but I came back to World of Warships at this point, And I was presented with these two new consumables, and these were called radar and hydroacoustic search. And I was like, what the hell is this? What have they introduced? I had no idea what it did, as anyone would if you came back, there's a brand new feature in the game, and you're like, what the hell does this do? I was skeptical at using, particularly Hydro at first, and then once I had actually learnt through actually playing how to use it, you know. But Hydro and Radar were kind of one of the tipping points of what I call the golden age of World of Warships. Before Radar and Hydro was the golden age for me of World of Warships, because essentially DDs had free roam of matches. They weren't heavily counted, because in my opinion, DDs are very heavily counted now. They're power crept. Yes, there are some really good DDs. You know, Howland is a great tier 10 DD, for example. Great AA, great torpedoes, fast torpedoes. They don't do a lot of damage, but there's a lot of them, and they're very, very fast. And it doesn't have a smoke screen. That's the thing about the Swedish destroyers. You know, you need to keep yourself stealthy, and you know, Radar and Hydra kind of prevents it. But I suppose it separates the really skilled DD players from the not so skilled ones, like me. At the time of this Radar, me finding out about Radar and Hydra being introduced, was the time where I came in, I looked at my port and I was like, I have a tier 8. I'm pretty sure the last time I went in World of Warships was tier 6, I think. I remember thinking to myself. And that is actually correct, because it was at the time of the US Navy's cruiser Tetris split, and all you veterans who have been there for every single patch will know exactly what ship I'm referring to. I'm referring to the Cleveland. The Cleveland used to be tier 6, they bumped it up to tier 8, gave it a radar, and pretty much made it really squishy. Because I do not remember the Cleveland being that squishy as it is now. It used to be a lot more tougher. Not extremely tough, but I don't remember being citadeled quite as easily or as often. You were able to angle sufficiently enough that you could still have all your guns to bear and fire. And for those people that don't know what the old Cleveland was like, it still kind of is like the old Cleveland, but you've just got to be more careful of that broadside. And I would compare it to a Smolensk of back in the day, but not as extreme. I kind of dumbed down Smolensk of back in the day before Hydro, before the Smolensk. That abomination of World of Warships. That thing happened, I was like, oh, I've got a free tier 8 then. No tier 7. I've just skipped a tier. Thank you very much, Wargaming. Another ship introduction, I remember, was the Tirpids. The Tirpids used to be, I say used to be, it is, the very first battleship introduced to World of Warships that had torpedoes. So this was before we had the German battleships. Premium tier 8 battleship of the German class. Everybody feared that thing once upon a time. Now I feel it's the same with BBs. I have the feeling about BBs as well. I feel that people aren't fearing BBs as much as they are, because we're in this kind of meta of HE spam. And because of this HE spam, battleships are the main target of cruisers that are just HE spamming. You know, Smolensk, everyone's spamming HE, and you're just getting burned down, just melted. So I feel battleships have been power crept a little bit, and cruisers are king at the moment. But I remember when battleships used to fear them, absolutely fear them. But now you don't, not really. You still do, some of them. The Izumo maybe, because that's now a better ship. It didn't used to be, after it got buffed. You know, the Sheikah, the steel ship, that thing is an absolute beast. People still pretty much are scared of Yamato just because it can overmatch everything, no matter what you're in. Now, player progression. As a player, I used to be a battleship main. I still am, but I'm more variety now. Seriously, I have so many Tetris that I have yet to grind, but at the same time I have so many Tetris open. I have so many tier 5s and 6s because I'm not dedicating myself now to one Tetri. I'm spreading them out over several. I've got Japanese cruisers, British battleships, Swedish destroyers, German destroyers, American destroyers, Japanese battleships, a lot. I have a lot. I probably have like 10 tech trees that I still need to kind of really grind through, but I'm doing it gradually. Compared to when I started, I always dedicated myself to one tech tree. I remember going through the American DDs, or I started to anyway, and particularly the American battleships, because right now I do have Iowa, and I almost have Montana, because I remember it, for me, at that time when I was grinding from Colorado to North Carolina, it was a huge grind for me at that time. Plus I'm a free-to-play player, which is kind of an issue with grinding, because the only time I have premium is through super containers. I've been really lucky lately. I currently have a 2-week premium. The other week, a few weeks ago, I got a week's premium, but other than that, I usually get 24-hour ones when it's events or, you know, any kind of those type of rewards that come into World of Warships. So I'm always happy to get premium, because I don't want to spend. It's a free-to-play game after all. I don't have to spend a single penny, and I still enjoy it still. But it just proves how much reliable premium is to get credits, to get XP, free XP, commander XP. Everything is so much more and so much more viable, because sometimes in a lot of your games, particularly in higher tiers, and you're on a standard account, what happens is this: you think you've done really well, but what happens is you get minus credits, and you're like, oh, well, that's just disappointing. So you don't bother with higher tiers, you just bother with the lower tiers. But, you know, that's probably the more occasional game than anything else, but it just proves how much premium count. I mean, it is premium at the end of the day, but it just proves how much more it is, and how difficult free-to-play players have it in terms of grinding. It is a lot more difficult, a lot more. Now, the one thing about this game, I'm going to say it's probably my favourite game, because it probably, consecutively, it's my most played, because as of last year, I think it was October, November time, so we're almost there. I've been playing it since then, in 2019. I was definitely around for the Dockyard fiasco at Christmas last year, and we're almost there again. We're in September now, we're almost there, and I can tell you from any other game that I've ever played, bear in mind I'm a variety gamer, I play a huge amount of genres, and I've never played a game this consecutively for this long at the moment. So World of Warships, definitely a great game for me. You have this love-hate relationship with it, because yes, I don't like how powerful CVs are, I don't like Smolensk, I don't like this HE spam, I don't like DDs being countered left, right and centre with CVs and Hydro and Radar. Because the funny thing is, I'm just starting to really like DDs, and I didn't used to really like them. I used to go away from them, hence why I began as a BB main. But it just surprises me that World of Warships is the game that I've just stuck my guns to. And it's a shame it's taken this long for me to realise how much I really like this game. I really enjoy it. Yes, I will get really frustrated one day and have great games the next. But despite me getting frustrated and thinking I'm gonna uninstall, I don't, and I'm back at it the next day. That is the love-hate relationship with World of Warships, and I think that applies to a lot of players. Now, just before I wrap up this video is kind of special for me personally, because when I had my original channel that I started many years ago, in terms of content creation, because obviously I've decided to come back to it at the start of 2020, and my very first video, or one of my very first videos, was World of Warships, so I've come full circle. I'm pretty proud of myself, and I've enjoyed making this video, and I'm sure I'll enjoy making the next. So expect more content for World of Warships, because I definitely do enjoy this game, and I think it's something that will be very enjoyable on the channel. And that's going to do it for today. What I'd like to know is, what do you remember of an old chain from World of Warships? It could have been a year ago, it could have been 2 years ago, it could have been 5 years ago, I don't mind. Let me know. Alright, if you enjoyed this video, I'd like to see more videos and more content like this one. Make sure you subscribe, hit the bell icon, or make sure you're all notified for all future content. And the gaming discussion will be done in the Discord links in the description below. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.